Hey everyone, it's been a while since I've done a video. I'm not honestly comfortable doing them because I think I sound weird, but I'm kind of coming to a point where I feel like I need to be able to feel comfortable about talking about these various issues aloud. It's so easy to write things down because you don't have to listen to yourself say them half the time, and partially because I don't know, you have a better audience, I suppose, when you write versus when you do videos, but it's whatever. But I wanted to read one of my various blog posts, and I call it Coming Out on Many Fronts, the mini memoir of me. So, I don't know if you'll share this, but I thought I'd make a stab at it anyway. When I was very young, I was not sure why I was drawn to men. I didn't understand it. I was confused by it, and honestly, women didn't do anything for me in any form. When I was a teenager, I tried to pretend I was attracted to women. I had a girlfriend in high school and in college. I came from a rather conservative and fundamentalist family background, accepting the words they taught up to a point. I was anti-gay, anti-gay marriage, anti-gay anything for a long time because I was told that's how things were supposed to be if you wanted to be a, quote, good Christian man. Even though I myself knew to some degree what I was. I even got to chatting with a few guys online, deluding myself that I was just looking for friends when, in fact, I was looking for a boyfriend. But I didn't quite realize it, and I kept up this facade for a long time. But alas, it was not meant to be. What it did for me and her were what did it for me was I was at a restaurant eating a late dinner. We were. One of the cooks came up to me. We chatted for about a good 45 minutes. I felt real bad because it kind of she was kind of left there in a dumbfounded silence as I was talking to this guy. It was a good conversation, just kind of those ones where the topics keep rolling one after another. Mostly it was theater and food because he was an actor and a cook, so two things that we had something to talk about on. He wasn't gay, but the experience did open my eyes quite a lot, and I felt infinitely more comfortable talking to him and engaging him in discussions than I did with her. And it wasn't because I didn't care about her, but because there was no connection. During my second year at LCSC, where I had gone to school, I had resided in a house where about 30 people lived. It was an old convent turned into a dormitory with a kitchen and common area. Most of the people were quite nice and quite reasonable to be around. I had a roommate who was quite a unique character, to say the least, but he was good at brightening my spirits with invitations to drink or occasionally driving him for his weekend imprisonment for a few slaps on the hand, things he did. A few other friends lived there as well, but one day when I was walking back from class, it was about October, November, I had left my window cracked to let some air in and had noticed something. I had noticed something that wasn't on my seat last time I drove. I remember it pretty vividly. Something designed to embarrass you or expose you before you're ready or to intimidate you never really goes away. Someone decided it would be funny to drop gay porn in my car. And as brightly as in front of God and everyone had been a gay porn DVD. Never in my life had I felt more dread and intimidation than at that moment, knowing someone had decided to behave so insensitively. Now, I know this doesn't compare to others' experiences, but it was something that you don't really forget very easily. I grabbed the DVD quickly and deposited it into the dumpster outside the dorm and just kind of brushed it off like nothing had happened. And I continued on my way normally like I do. But now with a little bit of a thought in the back of my head, wondering if this was just the start of something or if it was just a one-time thing. And thankfully, it was just a one-time thing. So I didn't experience anything else when I was there, which I'm very thankful for. After that, I slowly worked up the courage to start coming out to people. My friend Barbara was the first, and I came out to her telling her I was bi, partially because I was still confused but knew enough that I liked men, but wasn't sure if women were off the table. Then finally, about a year after that, um, I and a guy met online, and we drove 8 hours to meet each other, and it was a rather intense experience, to say the least. It was an experience that I would describe as magical, almost. Um, we met up in Montana because that was halfway for the both of us, and we spent 2 days and a night just being together, just getting to know one another, enjoying each other's company, and we cuddled. We were just close, and so when we left each other after that meeting for days, I think it was, I had the sensation of feeling him rub his hand on my arm whenever I had rubbed my arm. It was a very, very weird experience. I couldn't really describe it like an after feeling of sorts. It's kind of it's I've never experienced anything quite like it, where you kind of touch your arm, maybe just for whatever reason, and it feels exactly the way it did when he did it. And so I'm not sure really how to describe it other than it was just something that was incredible. Um, After that meeting, we continued to talk from a distance, and we weren't able to really get away to see each other. He was in school, I was in school, but different schools, obviously. Um, but we were able to carry on for about 8 months before finally we decided this wasn't working because neither of us could get away to be with each other. So we broke up, and it broke my heart because I was sad that it ended, but it needed to, just from the distance. Both needed to move on and get on with our lives. Um, we've talked once in a while, but I'm not expecting anything to happen anytime soon. So that's something to keep going with. The next chapter of my adult life started in 2009 when I enrolled at Evergreen to finish off my bachelor's degree. I was almost there, about another year and a half to go. And the Evergreen State College is renowned for having one of the most active and vibrant LGBT communities in the nation. It's a centerpiece of social justice. I was drawn by the discussion about social justice and even bombarded with messages about full equal rights for LGBT couples. I still sharply questioned the position, trying to be one of those, in my mind, people who take the road of least resistance and wanted to build a bridge between the two opposing viewpoints. Looking back on the position, though, I can see why it was the wrong viewpoint in hindsight. Though I don't feel I was wrong for trying to find a common good between two extremes. After I had graduated in 2011, I was politically active for the Republicans. Sorry. Believing 100% in the views that given freedom, the market will provide and everyone will have everything. I voted fervently for most of the Republican candidates on the 2010 ticket, and trust me, I do regret it. And I still continue to try and build bridges of common view. I argued fervently that government isn't evil, but it should back off and just let things work, and work that can work, and control things that it should control. With the recent T-Publican menace forming its way into the party, my views weren't exactly welcome, to say the least. I do remember one time I had actually attempted to join a chapter of the Log Cabin Republicans, which met in the state. It was a brand new chapter. It never really had much of a Republican chapter here, so but I was involved, kind of, sort of. I wrote their newsletter for a couple of months, which I felt I did a good job at, but eventually it just got to the point where it was kind of foolish to just continue doing it. So 2012 comes around, and I'm proudly wearing my Romney car sticker, and I'm literally glued to the words of both candidates, President Obama and Governor Romney, spewing their talking points on the campaign trail. And I was enthusiastically absorbing both, trying to be informed and aware of the positions they had and which one, made sense. And I'm the kind of person that, I will listen to all views and take what I can from those views. So finally, got to a point though in March, I believe it was, the infamous "you didn't build that." And the best way to describe "you didn't build that" is take a college research paper and gut any form of logical, sensical reasoning to it, and that was this talking point. Just a horribly taken out of context phrase that made no sense. At this point, I'm just kind of like, why the hell am I even supporting this party? What do I have in common with them at this point? I wasn't pro-life. I was pro-choice, as a pro-choice Republican. Pro-marriage equality, obviously not a position Republicans embrace either for the most part. I was pro, I'm not anti-government, so there's that card. I'm anti-greed, which, in today's Republican Party is like smashing the Holy Grail on the ground and stomping on it. And just all of these things added together, plus kind of started hanging on the words of liberal talk radio, liberal publications, liberal video, various news sources and commentators. Rachel Maddow, love you. And just started putting together my own viewpoint. I broke free of what I'd been raised with and started forming my own view on things. And it was very incredible, actually. I had read about, or I had heard about this economist who was a Nobel laureate. He won the Nobel Prize in Economics, Paul Krugman. To my conservative friends that are informed about various economists, pretty much anyone who's libertarian or Republican hates Paul Krugman. So, but I found him interesting. I found him informed, and I found him very, very able to explain his positions. So I read all three of his books. I think he's coming out with a fourth one, but I can't remember. And it truly opened my eyes when I read all three of them about how absolutely asinine Republican politicians can be. And this isn't, I'm not saying this about Republican voters, because they believe what they believe because that's what they've been taught or raised with or whatever, and I don't think any less of them for that reason. But the only thing I would say to my Republican friends and colleagues and acquaintances is that there's a lot more going on than just the free market being not in balance. There's other things in the background you don't see. So when it came down to trickle-down economics, the Republican holy grail of economic policy, I found it to be lacking in fulfillment for me and for others like me, my age group especially, the millennial generation. And what I found is that the policies don't work when people are greedy and cruel and selfish and self-centered. If people were more generous, if people took the harder path instead of the quick buck, you wouldn't hear any of this debate going on about wealth inequality because it wouldn't be an issue. But again, trickle down depends on the generosity and benevolence of those who have abundance. And I don't see that. I do not see that happen. I see individuals who do it, but it is not systematic, and that is a problem. I don't believe government is evil. I believe government is meaningful. I believe that government serves the people's interest. at least in theory. I suppose it's not as true as it should be. But I will say that I do fervently believe what Paul said about government, that government is established to be the arm of justice in this world. If you want to see the scripture reference I'm referring to, see Romans 13 for a detailed reference. So when it comes to politics, I'm just kind of like, I've abandoned pretty much every position I had as a Republican, and I am a dark blue Democrat now. Or as I'd like to say, the Elizabeth Warren wing of the party. And for those who don't know who Elizabeth Warren is, please learn about her because she is amazing in every way. In addition to coming out to my parents as gay, I also came out as a liberal Democrat, and I think that was actually harder than it was coming out as gay. And I think it's because it being a second coming out, I think it actually was harder for them to accept that I had abandoned what I was raised to believe in the realm of politics. Looking back on my experiences, my interactions with others, and finally my faith, I understand more than ever why equality is important to me. To me, coming out was a way that I could truly be an individual with pride about who I am. Throughout the last few years, I have continuously buried myself in history and culture and science as best as I can to understand it, to better understand what it means to be gay. To break it down to the simplest of explanations, being gay is nature's way of creating uniqueness in an otherwise homogeneous world. Instead of women, I love men. And by love men, I mean I desire their companionship, their presence, their passion, their touch, their shoulder, their voice, their eyes, and finally, their unconditional love. Not love because or love if, but love, period. Love without limit, reason, purpose, or condition. The kind of love that would thrust me into a gunshot or throw myself on top of someone. The kind of love that Jesus gives us every day. Love, period.